Welcome to episode number 26 of the Soulful Menopause podcast. Today's episode is all about healing the tension, healing the stressful experiences, healing the trauma, and all the other issues that you can actually hold on to in your pelvic floor and your root chakra. Now, you can unknowingly hold a lot of blocked energy here from various life experiences which can affect you on every level of your being. So I extend a warm welcome to you as you join myself and Dr. Andrea Greiner, a naturopathic doctor, as she introduces you to some very powerful healing techniques that you really need to know about. Welcome to the Soulful Menopause podcast. Discover how to transform the chaos of menopause into vibrant health and a soulful life you'll love. I'm Sally Love, natural nutritionist and soul wisdom coach. I want you to experience a soulful menopause that'll guide you into the best years of your life. Welcome, Fire Moon Goddess. Oh, I'm so thrilled to welcome you to this episode with Dr. Andrea Greiner. We had the most fascinating and empowering conversation, and I'm just so happy that you can be a part of this too. Now, before we recorded this episode, I was really lucky to experience a powerful session with Dr. Andrea, and I share my experiences in this episode, getting rather personal about some deeply profound experiences I've had in my life so far. And Dr. Andrea shares so much empowering information for you here. And she's also giving away some self-care tips for your root chakra and pelvic floor that you'll be able to download for free. So stay tuned because all of the details are in this episode. Now, just to set the scene a little bit, Dr. Andrea Greiner is a naturopathic doctor and acupuncturist who specializes in helping women heal their root chakra and pelvic floor imbalances. She offers these healing packages both in her clinic in Silverton, Oregon, in the States here, and also through some online courses if you don't happen to live anywhere near her. Dr. Andrea also educates women on how to implement their own in-home healing systems with essential oils and Beamer technology, and you're going to find out exactly what this Beamer technology is in this episode. Her mission is to support and guide families to heal together in a way that is safe, natural, and cost-effective. She loves empowering women with the amazing healing power of nature. So without further ado, let's get straight to that beautiful conversation. Welcome to the show, Dr. Andrea. I am absolutely thrilled that you're here, and I'm so excited about our conversation that we're going to have, and I can't wait to just get dug in and just get this juicy chat going. But I do want to start off with just really asking you if you want to share with people a little bit about you and really how you got to where you are now, with what you're doing, how you're helping women.
Yes. So I am a naturopathic doctor and acupuncturist, and I've really narrowed my practice into supporting women in healing their root chakra and pelvic floor. So that came about as I was going through naturopathic school. I was really supporting women having babies. So I always felt very strongly about this lead role in supporting women and thought I would be a midwife, and really passionate about home births, which I still am. I had both of my babies at home. And really just through my own work on myself and how I was going to be able to be of most service to women and people in general, I was trained while I was in school in this holistic pelvic care therapy by Tammy Kent. And that continued to just always be in my environment wherever I practiced. And as I have been out on in my own business for about 2 years in refining what my purpose is on the planet, it was really shown to me kind of divinely that this is the role that I am to take. And that is helping women, either me physically being there to help them heal their pelvic floor, or giving them the tools to do it, or how to start, or even just having a conversation about what the pelvic floor is and what the root chakra is. And so in the past, we're in February. So in the past 4 months, things have just really been moving in this direction of being available both in the clinic and online, and meeting people like you, Sally, that are also just right there supporting women. So I've made these amazing connections.
Oh, that's wonderful. Fantastic. And I love how powerful your work is. But I think what we do need to start off with was what you just mentioned is, what is the pelvic floor and what is the root chakra?
Yes. So getting down to the foundation and basics. So when I took this training with Tammy Kent, she really focused on the pelvic floor. So I think of the pelvic floor as all of the muscles that hold up all of our, internal organs, our vagina, I'm a doctor, so I can say anus. And then all of the stomach organs and intestines and all of that. So it's the muscles, and it's a very intricate system. And whether or not you've had babies, we store stress and emotions in our muscles. So this therapy is really helping get better circulation and just awareness into that pelvic floor. So the best example that I explain to people is when you feel your shoulders, that's a place that most people put a lot of stress, and you feel those knots in those areas of tenderness. And, people can just reach up right now and say, oh yeah, there's some tightness. So the pelvic floor is the same. And part of our healing is to start addressing that area, especially because as women and men as well, but since we're women, I focus on healing women. And there's a lot of physical symptoms that can happen even with emotional things. And then also women that have had babies need some extra support there. And then as you're supporting the menopausal community, that transition is so beautiful, and we can provide this treatment to help with that opening, instead of, if there's so much energy of talking about menopause almost as this closing off, and really it's this opening up. So healing that in that area. And then the root chakra, when I think of root chakra, I think more of the actual energy that's running through our body. There's specific emotions and, let's say, traumas that can get stuck energetically in that area. So it's all intertwined, and having two different words does kind of help us understand the complexity of that.
I absolutely love what you just said about holding the tension in our muscles of our vagina, which is exactly the same as we would hold on to tension in our shoulders. I've never thought about holding tension in my vagina the way I have with my shoulders. I am very focused on the tension that I hold in my shoulders. It's there all the time. And I have never thought of it like that.
Yes. And most people haven't, so that alone, just having the awareness is really helpful, because there's so many mixed messages about women that we're bound to store our stress and our emotions, especially because a lot of us are stuffers. I'm personally a stuffer of emotions. So if I stuff it, that emotion goes somewhere. And there's more studies showing, how we do store our emotions in our muscles, and on an energetic level, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. And as an acupuncturist, it's like, oh yes, of course. So just even bringing that awareness up is really helpful.
Yeah. And the other thing that you mentioned, which was really profound, Dr. Andrea, was in menopause, we're in that transition time. It's a huge time of transition. It's probably the biggest that we will ever go through in our entire lives. And a lot of people don't even realize this. And I love the way that you described it as helping women for that opening up. and not that closing down, because that is exactly what can happen. You know, some women can get really caught up with all of the symptoms, and then they go and try and suppress those symptoms because they don't want the hot flashes or whatever else is going on, whether it's headaches or mood swings or whatever it is. And I think that if the issues that are wanting to come up through that process are suppressed, then we can close down. And I love that you can really help women, Dr. Andrea, with really sort of like, you know, opening up, helping in that opening up, in that release that really needs to happen during menopause.
Yeah. Yeah. Even in our talking, I just imagine, well, you know, you're a very strong woman, just like that. It's even though we're talking about the pelvic floor and the vaginal area, it's like this pulling back of your shoulders and like standing up in your full womanhood. It's just this image that I keep getting, because the closing down is sort of like, oh, I don't have my blood flow anymore, and I have these obnoxious symptoms. And some women even just think they're not a woman, they're not as much of a woman anymore because they don't have this cycle. Mm-hmm. And one way that's been kind of shown to me, and I know that, yes, I'm a 37-year-old woman, so I have not personally gone through menopause, but as a healer, I have helped, you know, women progress and transition into a new space. And through that, just really getting the message that going through menopause and not having the energy of losing your period every month really gives women the opportunity to create within their life, like outwardly. And so, you know, because, you know, traditionally as women, we would have our periods, so we would all retreat and spend time together and be with the earth and really grounded. And then as you're this, you know, 48 to 55-year-old transitioning, you get to find that creative flow in a different way. And so just working on the pelvic floor and reclaiming that womanhood, it's really this reclaiming of that feminine energy, which is often the pelvic floor work can really address. And just with what you're doing, bringing awareness of how to move through menopause in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's all about empowerment. And you know, the recent history of women hasn't been so good with empowerment. So, and we're still living with the dregs of that, even though we are far more empowered than we have been for a long time in history. It's a process. It takes a while, and we have all these ingrained belief systems that we need to be breaking free of. But anyway, that's another story, and I really want to focus on what you have to offer. And I do want to let everybody know that I was absolutely thrilled to be able to have a session with Dr. Andrea recently. And so I do want to talk about my experiences of the treatment that you gave me, which was just so special and so magical and so powerful. But before we get on to that, I do just want to cover, Dr. Andrea, how this pelvic floor and the root chakra work you're doing, when there are these imbalances in this area, so you're talking about holding on to the stress and emotions in our vagina, in our uterus, etc., all of everything connected to our root chakra, how, if these are imbalanced, how does this affect our health and well-being if they're imbalanced?
Yeah. So in several different ways. One is just how we run our energy through our body. So let's say, you know, because there can be the energetic and the physical. So I'll back up a little bit. So physically, let's say you've had several babies, then postpartum, women will often have a very common symptom of, you know, peeing when they sneeze, cough, laugh. They have a general heaviness sensation. They're lower libido. They may have pain with sex. that may be resolved in that immediate. And then often when we go through menopause, our hormones shift and that kind of heaviness or those symptoms can come back. I mean, I can't say how many women I have spoken to that have that physical aspect of still now. Some women just wear pads all the time, or they, they especially have to if they're going through their period, or just women that have already gone through menopause, it's always there, and this heaviness as well. So that is a very common symptom, and often one that people don't talk about. So it's one that when I post or talk about it on other places, I'm pretty out there with it because I want women to know that it's a safe place to, finding the right people to talk about that. Energetically, it can be, it's a little tricky. So often women have learned to run more masculine energy, which means the masculine is like the taskmaster, the getting things done, the doing everything, or, I think of that like the stressed out mom getting everything done and like go, 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 go. And the feminine energy is really one that is more connected in with nature, learning how to go with the flow, learning how that if your timetable doesn't necessarily work, you kind of open up and something else comes in. It's like this, it's a little bit more of this very kind of lighter flowing. When we can find, so often, most women are not able to be in this flowing because we were shut off from that because of just our society pressure. So we're taught sort of running this masculine energy is what keeps you safe. It's what keeps you going. You could do all the things and you make all the money and you take care of your family. And, so we kind of run ourselves out. So that is a more of an energetic, you're looking at running an energy through your system, not quite as balanced. So when we work with the pelvic floor, it's like this reintroduction of how do we, it's like, how do we soften? How do we soften into, and claim pride in our femininity and our womanhood, which, a lot of this has a lot of history that comes up with it.
Yeah. And I love that. How do we soften? Because we're still like, as I was just touching on earlier, and you have now, is that we've still got some of these patriarchal energies that we're sitting with and trying to evolve out of. And I think when we talk about softening, we can see that, and softening into your femininity, it can be seen as, I don't know, what's the word for it? It can be seen as something sort of less than or not strong or not empowered. And I think we can, unfortunately, look at the word empowerment and strength still as a very masculine energy. And that is all about the fight, and the ruling over and the dominance and the, let's power forward with all of this empowerment sort of thing. Whereas there is a feminine empowerment. You can still be strong and you can still be empowered and really stand in your feminine power. And I think that the world now is starting to realize that. And this is what I teach as well as what you're doing as well. And we can really start to honor the feminine more, and really see that empowerment doesn't have to be so masculine.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
And just in, as a healer, I have to go through my own healing, and I am recognizing how being feminine in certain phases in my life not that it wasn't necessarily possible, but I grew up with a lot of men and boys and hunting and, so you were just tough. You just had to, don't, stop and smell the rose. You're just like tough, And so I learned that that's like what keeps you safe sort of energetically. And so in my 30s and late 30s now, it's like, okay, that served its purpose, but really we're being called as women to, yes, like stand in our power of being soft, or, and soft doesn't have to be this weakness. So it's exactly what you said. It's just really interesting the words don't quite fit with sometimes, like the empowerment, and you can be empowering, and that's teaching women how to be soft and learn their femininity. Because I also had these very strong feelings when I first learned about femininity and went through this program, was like, oh, femininity, that's weakness. And so I'm healing a lot of that, going around with what femininity really is.
And I think you make a really, really good point there, is that that feeling of having to be tough, to keep you safe. I think that this really can affect our root chakra, because this is the safety all comes from our root chakra. And so we can close that down, because it's the way we want to be contained with it. We want to protect it so that we feel safe. Whereas in fact, what's that doing is quite the reverse, because we're not being able to be grounded, and we're not being able to be safe to fully express ourselves in the world, open up our heart, open up the rest of our bodies and our emotions and everything, and still have that sense of safety and grounding there. So I think that that's really important point you're bringing up, Dr. Andrea, that the root chakra and the pelvic floor, the root chakra being in that place of the pelvic floor as well. Talking about our vaginas, talking about, golly, you can hold that energy, that tension there just as much as you can on the shoulders, is so very important. And just bringing this to light is empowering.
Yeah. It's one thing that came up that I did want to share about a lot of this healing is looking in those places where we aren't able, or maybe we had trauma, and how powerful this treatment can be, because you can learn energy tools to go back in your past and really heal those moments. So like you said, if we don't feel safe, if we don't feel secure, if our needs aren't being met, then we're not, like exactly what you said, we're closing off our root chakra. If our root chakra is closed, then our entire, it's like the soil for all of our other energy systems, and the chakras up to the top of our head. And so we can really go back in those moments of feeling, like our needs weren't being met, I wasn't safe, I had to run my energy this way, and without necessarily going into too much trauma, I have people just take really, not surface, but just, I don't want somebody to go right into a traumatic situation, but just something, wow, I really was not feeling safe and secure and running my feminine energy. And you can go to that moment and surround that woman or that young girl with this golden light, and just tell her and be with her in that moment and say, you are loved, your needs are being met, you are safe. This might feel really big, but you come out on the other end. And I'm here to tell you that you are loved, you are safe, and you will come out on the other end. And I have personally been doing that over the past 2 or 3 months, and found it to be very, very healing and very powerful work.
Yeah, because when we're told we're safe and we're loved and we can feel it, we open up, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. We feel safe to open.
Yeah, then you do. And what I'm realizing is that time doesn't exist as we think it does, like on the clock. And so by giving that memory love and attention and light and like positive love and light, then your healing continues in a crazy, amazing way.
Absolutely. So you started touching there on a little bit about the techniques you use to actually do the physical work on the pelvic floor and the root chakra. I wonder if you could just talk a bit more about this, like what does the session look like? What's involved? What are you doing? How's it working?
Yeah. So there's 2 different ways. So what Sally and I were able to do was the physical session. And so this is incorporating what I learned with Tammy Kent. And then I've also created my own kind of healing with it. So I use what's called a beamer, and it's a pad. It's an electromagnetic field that you don't feel, but it just helps improve your circulation. It stimulates your arteries to have better flow. And I've been incorporating that into my acupuncture and pelvic floor sessions with just really nice results. And then I'm also an acupuncturist. So I have found that I'm doing acupuncture on the women. And let's say I like to do a face up and a face down. So I start with a face up treatment, and I may use a couple essential oils and a few needles. And that kind of sets the energetic tone. Like, we're just getting things flowing. And really what's important with healing is that you are in your body. So it gives, we're not just jumping right into the vagina. We're giving the body, we're just getting, it's like we're just getting to know each other. Like, what's your energy doing? What's mine doing? Let's get to know each other that way. And then after about 20 to 30 minutes, then there is the intravaginal work. And what that kind of depends. So, for you, we did, I would say, well, because I know that you are very present in your body and your own intuitive skills and healing. So it was probably a little bit longer than some beginning out, but it starts very physical and just assessing the tone of the vagina. So you assess the overall tone, and then the right and left tone. And then I look for different tender areas. And depending on how the energy is flowing, sometimes imagery comes up for people. Sometimes emotions just come right up, and we have safe ways to help move that through the body and actually out the root chakra and into the earth. So that is really, in my opinion, where the healing starts, is just identifying, being present in the body and identifying different trigger areas with that emotion. And like I said, sometimes it doesn't have to be like, this happened at this day on this time. It can be like, wow, I'm really feeling anger in general. And so we go into that a little bit, and it's this overall balancing of just, so in the meantime, I'm just putting slight pressure on different areas that there are tension. And what I'm looking for on my end is just this improvement in circulation. So at first it might be an uneven pulsating, letting that get a little bit bigger, and being really aware of the different signs that I might be receiving, or images that I might be receiving that would be helpful for the woman to hear or move through. So it gets out there in the intuitive healing, where I might say, wow, I'm seeing this flower, and or I'm hearing these words, and really getting a little bit energetically into that area. And each person is different, where they are. And so that first session intravaginally is about 20 to 25 minutes. And then you end the session just assessing the overall tone, which is pretty remarkable, because almost every single woman will have better tone at the end. So just in a short 20 to 25 minute, a lot of emotions come up, or visualizations. And then we have more tools to leave that session that we end, after the acupuncture session ends, then we're done. I'm going to go back just one sec. So once the pelvic floor is done, then I flip the women over and do needles on the back. And in my opinion, that's sort of like the reset. So you're face down, you're really able to release, and all the things that might have come up are able to settle and kind of shake out. I'm seeing like this sand, where you shake the sand and things are able to just flow out of you, and you don't really have to hold on to it with labels and that kind of stuff. And then once the session is totally done, we get to have some conversations about some different tools, whether they're energetic tools or different words that you can take with you to start to just see how you can reclaim your femininity, and how to get more connected with your physical body and your vagina. And it's pretty remarkable with what happens. So some women have amazing sex afterwards. They release a lot of grief. Typically you release a lot of emotions. And that's always my warning, to just drink lots of water and be aware and journal and go for a walk outside, because we just stirred a pot that isn't really thought of a whole lot. Mm-hmm. And so it can bring up a lot of things, but that's really where the healing is. And then it's having tools to connect into yourself and learn how to move through those in a healthy way.
Yeah, and I think that it's such powerful work, and I can speak from experience. I think it's important for me now to share a bit about what I experienced through my session with you, Dr. Andrea, and that I have had endometriosis, multiple uterine fibroids, so many they can't even count how many I've got. Because of the fibroids and the endometriosis, all my menstruating years were sheer hell for me. Sexual trauma. I've also suffered domestic violence. And I had a load of infertility issues that came up when I was younger and desperately wanted children. And then I remember sending a prayer up to Spirit and saying, please just let me experience at least being pregnant. If it's not my path to have children in this life, can I please at least experience being pregnant? And then several years later, I meet this man and we're away and we forgot to take any protection. I said, oh, do not worry about it. I'm infertile. I can't have children. You can guess what happened. Suddenly, boom, I'm pregnant with twins.
Oh my gosh.
But I miscarried them both, and that was very traumatic. So needless to say, I've been holding a lot in that area. And of course, because I'm a healer and this has been my path, this is why I'm where I am today. This is why I can help women who are going through similar things today, because I've been through it and I've transmuted it. I've come out the other end. So it was really wonderful having the session with you, Dr. Andrea, because I was able to, I feel, release like the final imprints of it, because it's almost like you can say that this stone has been sitting in the soil for years and years and years. You pick that stone up and you throw it away and there's a dent left, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that was lifted, like that dent, that was just transformed and taken out, and the earth was returned to normal, sort of thing. And I experienced for about 24 hours after our session, I experienced lung stuff. So I had asthma when I was a child quite badly. I don't really have it now, only when I get ill. But I really felt that my lungs were like almost, there was like this memory of that. And of course, the lungs is where we hold on to our grief. And so I feel that was lifted. And that was a really interesting process for me, because I thought, that can be my cue to like a virus invading the body or something. If that happens to me, I think, oh, okay, there's something coming into the body. And I immediately, of course, I thought that. And then I tuned into my body. I was like, this is a release of the work that I did with you that's coming up. And then during our session, Dr. Andrea came up with the most amazing, well, you came up with so many insights. It was incredible. There were a few in particular. And one of them, which I haven't managed to tell you about yet, because it has developed from here, is that you came up with this image when you were working intravaginally with me of being surrounded by women, having a circlet of flowers put on my head. I was surrounded by flowers. These women were coming up and kissing me on the cheeks and saying that they loved me and that I was loved and supported and held. Oh my word, what an amazing image that had for me, and how powerful that was, because it wasn't just like, oh, imagine this. It was like a deep knowing. And I just absorbed that into my vagina. I absorbed it into my uterus. And I have been visualizing that every single day since we had the session, and just filling that area with that beautiful imagery. And because of everything that I've had, I've held on to shame, a lot of shame with a lot of things. And of course, there's all the trauma and the anger and everything else that I felt with it. And it's like, I now have invited into this space, after all the clearing I've done, I've invited love into the space. I've invited safety into my space. I've invited beauty, because I certainly haven't seen that part of my body as beautiful. I have just brought this gentle, loving, just the most amazing energy into my vagina and into my uterus that is just so incredibly nurturing. And you know what happened recently? I was on attending a workshop, an afternoon workshop, with a friend of mine, and I was left with the image of a spring garden being present in my body. And it was only until just today, Dr. Andrea, that I realized, oh my word, this is what I invited in with our session. And now it's filling my entire body. And it's so anchoring. And I get this sense of freedom and freshness and new beginnings and positivity and love and joy and support and safety, with this beautiful image that I'm filling my body. So as I'm going through a challenging time, I'm able to just tune into that instantaneously and just transform any sort of like feelings of confusion and doubt and grief and everything. And I'm able to just be in this spring garden with my circlet of flowers on my head and just be in that beautiful, held in that beautiful space. And this is so empowering. This is feminine empowerment. And I am so grateful that you offered to do this, for me to have this experience with you. I am in awe of what you do, Dr. Andrea, and I think it's just so empowering, so amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're gonna make me cry.
I know, I nearly did.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's interesting actually that you're saying that, because probably 2 weeks before, I was also filling my body with flower. I was having that image of that I am a garden and filling myself before we even met.
Oh my word! Oh wow!
So that is wild. And I mean, what came through for you in that healing was, as you had the needles in, I just meditated and connected in with all of your chakras, and that was just kind of divinely said. And it's amazing that, what transpired, and this work is so deep and so needed. And I just love that it was so, and that will continue. You will continue to find strength, and different things that happen in that moment will continue to unfold and reveal itself. And so that's amazing.
Well, I was wondering if you have any other stories, or you can give us any other, any other information on how this could maybe help other people, because other people are going to experience it probably completely differently to how I have. So can you talk to us about what people can expect? And I know that may be a bit difficult, Dr. Andrea, because, everybody's unique and they all have their own pathways. But maybe after I've shared how it's affected me, I wonder if you have any other stories about how it's affected other people, or what other people listening, if they're interested, how it could possibly affect them.
Yeah. So on a physical level, I've had several people come in that pee when they sneeze, or they have to go to the bathroom and they have to run to the bathroom because if they sneeze or cough or anything, they're going to pee their pants. And so that's a very physical discomfort. And I've had several people that resolved. So that is very, very helpful with just so many women that have that symptom. And then so if you're helping the muscles work better together, then let's say there's low libido, and low libido could be hormone imbalance, it could be stress, it could be the physical flow within there, like multiple reasons. So I have found that it can help with wanting to have sex, because you're like connected into your vagina, and you're like, oh, this could be different. And so with that wanting to have sex, and then having much different connections with having sex or intercourse, or whatever you're comfortable saying. So those that are energetically tuned to their body will notice a big difference with that. So and each person is going to be different, but just the intimacy can really change. And that's a whole conversation at some other point about sex, I think. And then I've had other women just come in and start to notice where they have given away their feminine power, or where they have really stuffed their energy, and just the internal work has helped them open up to being more aware in their lives of how they run their masculine and how they run their feminine, and then part of it is really getting more in connection with their bodies and their flow. So finding that they want to start more of a spiritual practice, or meditate, or find that stillness that then can help you just connect to nature more. And really, when you heal the root chakra, we ground into the earth through that chakra. So we're also healing the earth. So a lot of people will just feel more connected to nature and to that energy as well. I mean, it's really hard. It's like each person comes in with such different experiences, and then what they kind of want to resolve. So it's a wide range of what happens. I've done one on somebody, and it kind of blew them away a little bit, that it's so much different than going to like a physical therapist and just getting your vagina kind of assessed on a physical therapy level, because we are getting deeper into spirit healing and energetic healing, and connection into your own body, which we're multifaceted. So it's much deeper than, let's say, going to see a physical therapist who is solely working on the physical muscles.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it can be a very individual process, and what you experience will be exactly what you need to experience for yourself. That's for sure. And it will be empowering.
Yes. Yes.
And so your practice is in Silverton, which is just south of Portland, isn't it?
Yeah, I am practicing in Silverton right now. And since I've launched into my pelvic floor program, I have a 4-week and an 8-week healing program, but I started really advertising on my Facebook page, in a Facebook group that I have, and let's say on Instagram and stuff. And so many women were saying, well, I'm not in Silverton, or I can't get there. What do I do? So I was really called and kind of guided that this service that kind of divinely, that I'm trained in, but also being guided in, is to be offered more on an online course. So a 6 to 8 week course. So I obviously can't be there for the physical intravaginal work, but I walk women through how to do that on their own, with guidance, and then gain, self-care tools and energy tools and healing on a 6 to 8 week path. And so that's really in development. I'm going to launch that in March, so that women anywhere can really start to dive into healing their pelvic floor and their root chakra anywhere in the world.
I love that idea, Dr. Andrea. And the thing is that I think some women can find it challenging to even see a doctor as yourself about their vagina and to have an internal. There can be a lot of sort of like, and you're not doing anything like that. You've not got any horrible implements that you're putting inside somebody or anything like that. It's a beautiful, nurturing experience. But the thing is that even then, even with that knowledge, I think some women can feel a bit nervous about it, apprehensive about it in some way. So I think providing it as an online course where they can do it themselves just sort of takes that anxiousness out of it, because, well, we don't want people to feel that anyway, and then they can feel very, very safe, I should imagine, with doing that for themselves, and then probably also connects at an even deeper connection with themselves as well.
Yes, exactly. And then take it in a phase. So obviously week 1, you're not going to like jump right. You're going to get some self-care tools and nutrition tools. And then when the intravaginal work, you're kind of getting more grounded, and same thing, you're still creating a safe environment. I have to create a safe environment for myself if I'm going to do it, and expect other women to be able to do the work on themselves as well. So it's pretty exciting. I'm pretty excited about it all.
It is. And I, as I have said, my experience was very powerful and nurturing, very empowering. And so Dr. Andrea and I are thinking of putting together a retreat sometime in the near future. So if you are interested in that, guys, do get in touch. Let us know if you are. How can people get hold of you, Andrea? And I know that also you are giving away some self-care tips for the root chakra and the pelvic floor, just to get people introduced into this. So if you could maybe talk a little bit more about what that free giveaway is, those self-care tips for the root chakra and pelvic floor, and how people can get hold of it, how people can get in touch with you.
Yes, so we'll have a link with you, Sally, and because my website is a little tricky, so it will be a handout. So self-care tips for root chakra and pelvic floor, just some simple things, how to start. I use essential oils pretty much all the time, and it's part of what I'm passionate about. So there'll be specific meditations and specific essential oils that I like that help you connect back into your, femininity and softening and flow. And then a good way for right now, because you can access my website, which is www.theessentialdoc.com. And we'll also have that on Sally's, available through Sally. And so you can contact me through there, and we'll have a link to the handout that will be available for you.
Good. Yeah, all those links will be in the show notes. Okay, is there anything else that you would like to share, Dr. Andrea? Any parting words, any beautiful words of wisdom?
Really now is the time to start taking care of ourselves as women, and to work together to see the beauty in each other, to heal ourselves, and to really stand up with, this work is so deep, and it's really meant to awaken us to our strengths and healing ourselves and our families and other people. So as you listen, if you also think of somebody that would love this and they haven't met Sally or myself, then, spreading the love and spreading the word, and there's just such a pull right now for all of us healers and women to start recognizing how powerful and amazing we are. So sharing that with those you love and yourself. So just really empowering yourself.
Yay! Absolutely.
And come to our retreat, because we don't know exactly the details, but we were talking about it. We got goosebumps, and what Sally is doing is absolutely incredible. And so whatever we come up with is going to be amazing.
It is, and I'm very excited. I get a feeling it's going to happen soon.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Andrea, from myself personally, for the amazing, empowering session I had. And also for all the wonderful women that are listening to this that are going to be deeply touched by what you've said, what you've shared, and the work that you do. Thank you so much. This has been really wonderful and such a privilege to have this beautiful, empowering chat with you.
You too. Thank you so much, Sally.
To find out more about how you can live a soulful menopause, please visit soulfulmenopause.com. I'm really looking forward to being with you again soon. Bye for now.